All right. Good morning to those of you on the East Coast. Good morning also to those of you on the West Coast. I'm your host, Brandon Choi, co creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. And thanks so much for joining us on this Saturday. As you well know, every Saturday we try to make a point of trying to get you up to speed of some of the things that are happening in the world of entertainment. And it runs the gamut, whether it's in gaming news, whether it's in sports news, whether it's in film and TV. Uh, we try to do our best to give you the spark notes, if you will, of some of the goings on that have happened in the past week. And of course, I'm not alone in talking about some of these news bits that have happened this week. I have none other than Spillman Trueheart, aka Spills. Let me bring him on now. What's going on, sir? How you doing? Happy Saturday.
I'm doing great, ladies and gentlemen. I'm ready for this in-season tournament championship that's about to happen today. You know, the in-season tournament champions. You don't know nothing about that, Brandon. Y'all didn't get to the in-season tournament championship. Y'all are at home,
Right.
just looking around.
Right. You
So,
are absolutely right. I can
you know,
objectively say we definitely did not do it because we were focused on what matters. The
that's
title at
right.
the end of
Winning
the year.
actual games. That's
The
right. Winning
title the
actual
title
games.
at
You
the
got to
end of
win
the
some
year.
games.
But happy to have you on as always, man, to talk about some of the stuff that's happened this week. First up, we're going to talk about some stuff that's happened this week in TV. I want to say TV/streaming. And that we had like a insane smorgasbord, if you will, of trailers and teasers that made the rounds. Of course, we had the boys that came this week. We had what else? We had Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon had
That's right.
their teaser as well that we saw. What else? We had gosh, man. So much stuff. We had Fallout teaser. So if you guys are fans of the game, we had a teaser for the television series for Fallout. Insane. And then of course, not to be outdone, if we're talking game adaptations, we also had a first look at season 2 for Halo. So I know you had a chance to check out, all of these, trailers, teasers, first looks, whatever you like to call them, or label them as. What were your thoughts on what we got out of all these, trailers that we got over the course of this week?
So I'm happy that the strike is over because we're getting back to where they're pumping out the content. They're really promoting it real hard, and that's good. We're happy to see that they were able to come to an agreement with each other. But I think I'm most interested in the new Fallout trailer. I've played a little bit of the Fallout game. I like the mechanics and the lore of it, so that's interesting. Obviously we all love Halo, even though, I am a PlayStation person, ladies and gentlemen. I do, I tell y'all I'm a PlayStation guy, but, right now I do like Halo because I do like a first person shooter because I will murk you. Please believe. Don't mess around on these internet streets. I'll come and get you in any of them games. Call of Duty, Halo, anything. I can get you in anything. You want to play Fortnite? I'm gonna get the Zillennials and all them little bammers. I'll do the nay nay on them too. So
Not Nene though.
that's what I do.
Not
That's
the
right.
Nene.
Like the dude on TikTok be saying Butter Knife Junior. I'll be hitting them with the Butter Knife Junior. Put them to sleep. But yeah, I'm interested in that. House of Dragons looks interesting, even though it's a show about incest, but no one wants to talk about that.
Right, right. We
No
just
one wants to
sweep
talk
that
about
under,
it.
we
We
just
just,
sweeping that under.
it's a royal bloodline. They're trying to keep the blood the same. That's why they got that weird color hair because they're all cousins. But that's fine. I'm interested in that. They seem to have a dragon war, and that seems pretty cool. I'm into that. Dragons blowing fire on dozens of people at one time and watching them collapse in fire. That looks pretty cool. I'm interested in that. And then the boys trailer looks interesting. Homelander all covered in blood looks crazy. He looks like Harry at the end of the movie, so he's probably gonna go crazy. So we'll see what happens. What do you think, Brandon?
So I mean, there's just like I said, an embarrassment. Just like you said, I'm happy that everything was able to come to a resolution of what we had with the strikes, and so I guess with everything that's here, there's something to enjoy with each of these properties that we have coming. I mean, we have the boys, of course. We just had Gen V in not too long ago. That kind of gave us an appetizer, if you will, before we get into this upcoming season of season 4, and there was a lot in that show that apparently will carry over or follow through in a season 4, which is great because whenever you have a spinoff or you're trying to establish a universe, so to speak, if you're going to have a spinoff show, you want to have it have an impact or have meaning and not just be there just for the sake of being there. Like, don't get me wrong, if you haven't seen the series, there's still going to be some through lines from season 3 that'll carry over to season 4, but that viewing experience is going to be that much better if you did watch Gen V, because there are going to be some things in there that do follow through and potentially carry over into season 4 of our mainline show, being the boys. So you have that. Of course, you have our Targaryen clan, the infighting in the Targaryen clan with House of the Dragon. So I'm looking forward to that. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm about my Game of Thrones. I'm gonna see if I can show my jacket here. You can see my Targaryen.
Oh,
My
it's cute. You wore a TV show sweater because your team's not in the
Targaryen.
in-season
Yeah,
tournament. Good
yeah, yeah.
job,
So
Brandon.
I'm all about Game of Thrones and the Targaryens. So it's such a interesting uh uh family within that world of Game of Thrones and how they operate in their history and all of that. So I'm looking forward to that show as well, especially on how the first initial season ended. I don't know if did you have a chance to watch the entire first season?
Of House of Dragon.
Yeah.
I think I do. Like I said, she married her
I,
uncle.
well, no, I'm just saying. Also,
No spoilers, ladies and gentlemen. And then like they had the war coming.
I'm just gonna say this: what they have as a catalyst that sends the entire conflict into play, like how they wrap up and how they end that last season, that cliffhanger that they have at the end of last season. I'm just interested in how that carries on into season 2. Of course, I mean I mean you are a lot of people already spoiled on it already if you are familiar with the books and all of that, but even when you're doing an adaptation, it's always interesting to see, how they adapted and what they decide to follow through or carry over into the TV show versus what they decide to do differently to keep, people on their toes if they are familiar with the source material. So there's that. Fallout. Fallout is an interesting one too because it it kind of can go either way for me. Like, I'm excited at the prospect of there being a Fallout show, but in the same breath, which is what I'm about to get into with Halo, is there's a danger that it may not hit that same chord for me in playing the game versus watching it on TV. I'm excited about all the visuals that I see in terms of how we have, like, these mutated versions of a lot of these creatures, which is what you experience in the game. And then even some of the human characters that are, of course, affected by the radiation also. So
Mm-hmm.
the visuals appeal to me, but I'm still relatively uh uh I'm still cautiously optimistic about how the show could be. It can go either way for me. It could either be very disappointing or it could be outstanding. It could be awesome. It could be, The Last of Us, awesome.
Right.
So it could go either way. Now,
I
going
think
into go ahead. I'm
I
sorry, go
think
ahead.
I think they'll be okay. Sorry for interrupting, but I think they'll
No,
be
you're good. Go
okay. I
ahead.
think Fallout might be a little bit better than Halo because Halo was more about like the shooting your friends, and like shooting your friends has no storyline. But like Fallout has a storyline, so maybe we'll be okay. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No. You're good. I mean, I would argue this. So the reason why I will um I disagree is that if we're talking about Halo, there's so much in Halo in terms of the world building that we've had in the games thus far that there's there's so much that you can pull from in terms of genre that you can have with a game like Halo. I mean, yeah, you have the science fiction aspect. You have you even have horror aspects to Halo. Like if we're talking about like the
True.
flood,
True.
like there's so much that you can pull from that in a cinematic or in a cinematic capacity lends itself to either a series what we have now or even a film. So I that part of it, I was so disappointed. I'll be honest in season one, in that I was like, okay, the template is there. The thing that didn't work for me is that I understood the thought process and trying to humanize Master Chief, but at the same time, you in what they did with that first season, they took away the mystique of that character. The idea of that character, and that you don't really see his face all that much, is that ideally, you as the protagonist, you as the viewer, are taking in that character, and you're in essence becoming that character. And I know that a lot of times when it comes to video games, that could be very tricky, in that you have to trying to translate a first person shooter over to a television series or a movie can be tricky.
Exactly.
But but we've had the Mandalorian, and the Mandalorian has demonstrated that you don't need to see the actor's face all the time in order to still be able to follow
Connect
with that
emotionally.
character and
Yeah.
connect emotionally with that character.
Yeah.
So I feel like they really missed the opportunity in that first show to really recapture that idea, which again has already been done successfully in The Mandalorian by not having the character shown as much as it was in that season. And on top of that, again, I just touched on it, you never got to the flood ever. So I'm like, okay, you have season two. From what I saw in the trailer, it just seems like, I'll be honest, more of the same. Hopefully they're not really showing everything, and they're holding their cards very close to the vest, and that they're not really showing all the other stuff there. Hopefully we are getting the flood. I'm really hoping we are, because there's such an awesome component of Halo, and what they could do with that in a live action capacity can be really cool. So like I don't know. I'm a little skeptical. I'm probably, out of all four of these, the least uh uh excited about Halo 2. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna watch it. But out of the out of all of the ones there, I would say in my order would more than likely be House of the Dragon, The Boys season 4, Fallout because it's still new, and like I said, there's an opportunity for it to go either way, and then Halo. So I don't know what your thoughts on it are.
That's about where I am. I think Fallout's the most interesting just because it's a new property. And the Fallout games are popular, but they're not as crazy popular as Halo. Like Halo is one of the most popular games of all time. So it's like it kind of Halo got the first person shooter thing really going. Even though people on the that are listening will say, no, Spill, what about Doom? Sure, Doom, but what we're talking about. We're talking about where you're actually playing a controller game and not a game on a computer, which a lot of the people who played Doom did. So that's interesting. I think again, just the fact that we've got most of these are sequels anyway, like a second season or a fourth season. So, Fallout just being a new property is interesting. I like that they're playing up the dog. I know the dog was a big aspect of the show, so hopefully we get to see a lot of dog training tricks. For my dog training girlies out there, this might be the show for you if you like to see dogs being trained well. So that's pretty interesting. I'm interested in all of these shows. that they're also, just not to go on a tangent too bad. We saw that they put out the new Blade game, and that's going to be an Xbox exclusive. I ain't never heard of no Xbox exclusive that I wanted to play. So this is some good news for you, Brandon. I might have to borrow your Xbox.
Yeah,
I ain't never wanted to borrow
indeed,
nobody's
indeed.
Xbox.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah. Okay, okay, yeah. It's been a minute, so like I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm glad you brought up the Blade game because um I feel like there has to be some good news that comes with Blade, being that there have been so much negative publicity regarding the movie. So hopefully this will provide some goodwill, in folks' anticipation just with the Blade IP in general. Now that we have a game, a lot of times when we have a game, since everything Marvel is under one umbrella, they're not
Mm-hmm.
just releasing the game for no reason. It provides a good,
Mm-hmm.
sign or symbol of where perhaps things are with the movie as well, because they're all under one umbrella. Well, not under one umbrella, but in terms of the even though we have separate departments of Marvel, I'm going to explain it better. Even though we have separate departments of it, they still function as a cohesive unit in terms of when they're releasing things. And it's not by accident when they release it because they're trying to kind of feed off of that same synergy of something else within that IP also releasing at that time, which is why we have this Wolverine game coming. Because I mean, we want to have a lot of Wolverine
Oh
in the coming.
yeah.
We're gonna be
Oh
having a lot of
yeah.
Wolverine. We're gonna have Deadpool 3. We're gonna have, all of the multiverse, allegedly, Secret Wars, all of that stuff. So, of course,
Mm-hmm.
now we're gonna be getting a lot of Wolverine stuff. So, but that's actually a great segue. I appreciate it because I want to hop into the gaming news that we have. I see you there. I see you there with the assists. I see you there. Okay. So our gaming news, and that we had a Quan Chi gameplay trailer that arrived this week that gave us a look into Quan Chi, a lot of the moves that we have come to associate with that character. And then, of course, they always try to close it out with some of the cool fatalities, that the character is able to accomplish. And then, even unexpectedly, we got another cameo in that gameplay trailer from none other than Peacemaker. So,
Oh yeah.
Spillman, tell me, what were your thoughts on what we got out of this gameplay trailer?
I think the gameplay trailer was really interesting. I like Mortal Kombat, as we've said. I think they've done out of most of the games. They don't, ironically, in this climate, we don't really talk about it on this show, but a lot of these corporations are doing collaborations. You'll see, like right now, Nike's got a pair of dunks that are coming out that's Powerpuff Girls, and to me, some of these feel very forced, but the cameos that they put on the fighting games have specifically Mortal Kombat have always been good. So to have Peacemaker in there is great. I like the mechanics. The gore is at an all-time high, which we love for the Mortal Kombat game. So, I'm really excited for it. I need to pick up a copy myself. With the holidays coming around, I think that's on my list of things I want to pick up for myself. As now I am Papa Spill, aka Spilly Claus. So I'm just excited for that. Hopefully, I won't have to buy it myself. Maybe I can go to Brandon's house because he just moved closer to me, so we can hang out a little bit more. So maybe I'll come to your house and we can play Mortal Kombat 1 at your house on your Xbox, and then we can play the new Blade game. So, really interested in that. I like Mortal Kombat. Some of the things, just it's timeless. So, yeah. What about you, Brandon? How do you feel about it?
So I would say, I mean, you touched on a lot of it already in that Quan Chi was one of like my favorite characters from the Mortal Kombat game because he just had like some cool special moves. Um, in terms of a lot of the like fatalities that he was able to do, they were really interesting. So it was cool to kind of see a retro look back at some of the stuff that we have, like I said, to come to associate with that character. And then it was cool to also see some of those moves turned on their head in terms of providing new angles or new a new approach to some of just the overall aesthetic with Quan Chi in terms of him being a sorcerer and being able to have all of these abilities, what they have done visually to really highlight that. I find interesting, especially being the fact that I mean a lot of people don't give Mortal Kombat enough credit with this, but a lot of the characters that they have are very similar, but they provide enough individuality with a lot of the characters. Like when the first, when the earlier games came out, it was basically just a color change that we had, and maybe a couple of moves that differentiated. But as we started to continue through a lot of these installments of the Mortal Kombat uh, uh, video game franchise, they really made an effort to really distinguish and individualize a lot of these characters that are at the end of the day relatively the same. If we're talking about Reptile and Scorpion and Sub-Zero, in this early days, it was just a color swap, minus maybe a
For
couple
sure.
special moves that
For
made them
sure.
different. But now you can actually have legit distinguishable differences with those characters, which I like that they have been able to do. And the reason why I bring this up is because, yeah, Quan Chi is a sorcerer, but at the same time, Shang Tsung is also a sorcerer. And it could
Right.
have been very easy to make them just a color swap character or just to kind of be lazy in terms of this differentiating between those characters. And to their credit, over the time that the character's been introduced up until now, they really provided some elements that have distinguished these characters from each other that under in anyone else's hands could have been done very lazily. So I really do, really am looking forward to being able to play this character. And then on top of that too, the fact that they were able to even squeeze in another, like I said, teaser for another character. I will say I'm still, which I'm sure a lot of people out there are looking for, I'm still looking for that Homelander Omni-Man gameplay trailer. I want that Homelander trailer to show what he's able to do. And of course, based off of what the anticipation is, when they do, mark my words, I'm saying it here first. I have no proof of this. When we have that Homelander gameplay trailer, I promise you the character that they're gonna have him going up against in that gameplay trailer is gonna be Omni Man.
Of
If
course.
they don't, it's a wasted opportunity.
Of course. That's what the
So
internet wants. And I think the developers of these properties and other ones know that you got to get the people what they want.
yeah,
Give the people what they
yeah.
want. That's what's easy. That's why McDonald's is $1 trillion company, because they give us French fries, and that's what we want. They don't mess around with other stuff.
And McRibs, like nah,
Yeah.
McRibs, they alright, they alright. So, all right. So to wrap up what we have today, we're not going to be a super long show. Try to, like as I said, give you the condensed piecemeal version of a lot of these stories. We had we had a news reveal that happened this week, as well as a trailer, and of course, that's none other than Godzilla and Kong, the new Empire trailer that arrived this past week. But we also got news about Sean Gunn. Sean Gunn, who many of you may know from the MCU, as the person who provides the movement for Rocket Raccoon, and also is a part of the Ravagers as well. Will be making a switch over to the new DCU now, overseen or co-led by his brother. James Gunn, will be playing none other than villain Maxwell Lord. So we have these two bits here. We have, the Kong of it all,
That's right.
the Godzilla and Kong of it all, of the new Titan that they're
Godzilla.
going up against.
Yeah.
But we also have this news from the new DCU. So what are your thoughts, Bill?
Well, I'm gonna start with Godzilla. Since I was a little boy, I went over to my neighbor's house, Mr. Long, and my buddy Joey, and we used to watch all these King Kong versus Godzillas, Mothras, all of that stuff. So Godzilla holds a very special place in my heart. Any of these kaiju type movies, I'm a fan of. I've got a little 4-year-old now. I'm gonna take him to go see this because he likes to see monsters. Who don't like to see monsters blowing up buildings? There are monsters blowing up buildings. Come on, what else do you need, ladies and gentlemen? Look at that. We got Godzilla. Godzilla looked pretty cool. He's got the fuchsia back now instead of the regular old blue one, which was looking cool. They got that scary monkey guy and the other monkey. I don't know what this one's name is yet, but it's scary. But I'm
So
really
from what I
excited.
understand, the character's name is going to be Scar. So Scar King.
There you go. There you go. Still super scary. I'm excited for it. Godzilla is a classic. I'm excited for that. As far as the Maxwell Lord thing, I think that'll be a good pickup. I like some of the things that Sean Gunn has done in the past. He's a good physical actor, which is good in this medium. So I'd like to see what it is, even though it's a nepo baby. The internet hates those right now, but that's okay. I don't think it's too bad. If you know somebody's going to do something well, sometimes your brother is the best pick. So can't wait to see what they do. They've done a lot of good work with Rocket Raccoon. His physical acting made Rocket Raccoon jump off the screen and become one of the more popular MCU characters without really having any kind of like fan base. Because I am an avid Marvel fan, and I couldn't tell you what's the first Rocket Raccoon issue I read until after that movie came out. So I'm gonna let you take it over, Brandon.
Oh, there's a lot to take away from this in that I'll start first with Godzilla and Kong. Um, I guess with this film, it's while I am excited, don't get me wrong, I am excited about having a new installment of this MonsterVerse, and I've really been enjoying. I don't know if you've been watching it so far. I've been enjoying the series that they have going right now, which is what is it, Monarch? Legacy of Monsters. Have you had a chance to watch any of that yet?
I've seen some of it. Yeah,
Okay, so like I've had an opportunity to see that, and that has provided uh, a nice angle with the MonsterVerse. I feel like the TV shows provide a better opportunity to really delve into the human characters because let's be honest, when it comes to the MonsterVerse, folks are really keen on seeing the monsters themselves. So because you're not dealing with as much of a high of a budget when you're talking about these TV shows, it gives them license, it gives them an opportunity to delve further into the human characters. So I'm glad that they have the opportunity to expand with these TV shows. So that way, when they are doing the actual films, there's not necessarily a need to what it feels like force the human element or the human dynamic into this monsterverse. So, it provides it provides a good opportunity to do both. It allows you to have your cake and eat it too, so to
that's
speak.
right.
Now, in getting into the James Gunn of it all, the Sean Gunn of it all, um, I guess what I'll say is this. I know you brought up the whole idea of nepotism and just that idea. And here's Sean Gunn. If you guys are not familiar with Sean Gunn, who you may, as I said, recognize in the Guardians franchise. You bring up the idea of nepotism, but I will say this: while I do understand how people feel about that concept of nepotism, I don't feel like that applies here with Sean because he's demonstrated in his prior body of work of other things that he's done that he's fully capable as a physical actor, fully capable as a comedic actor, as a dramatic actor. So like he's demonstrated in other stuff that he's done that while it's cool, don't get me wrong, to have a sibling that is a well accomplished director and is now, overseeing an entire movie universe, that he could still hold his own. And whether I feel like it's just a nice coincidence that he was able to get cast as the character in this universe, and they've demonstrated in the other collaborations that they have had thus far that when they come together to work on a given project, magic seems to happen, like very much so in terms of other things that they have collaborated on together, where he's been behind the director's chair and he's been in front of, Sean being in front of the camera. So do you have any last thoughts or points to share before we, wrap it up here?
Yeah, I think that, like you said, sometimes the magic just happens. Even with like Travis Kelsey and Jason Kelsey in the NFL, like when they put those two brothers on the screen together and they're just talking about stuff, it seems magical because they have such a connection, and that's what a lot of these properties lose in a lot of this stuff. So, I understand that nepotism sucks. Like, how am I going to get into an industry that I love if I can't get my brother to give me a job? I understand that that part sucks, but you can't really argue with a lot of the results. They pick people to do things that sometimes have a leg up, but ultimately make great art together. So if the art comes out good, I don't mind nepotism. And I think that's really what we all say. If it comes out good, we can't really complain about it. But if it comes out terrible, it's like, hey, man, you hire your brother to put out boo-boo. We don't want to see no boo-boo. So that's interesting to me. I think that James Gunn, if Marvel could trust him to hire his brother, I think DC should trust him because, again, DC is back. DC is like way behind. They're like comparing the Lakers championships to those Warriors championships. It's only like 20-4. It's like, there's only been, there's only
Shots
so many.
fired. Shots fired. Shots fired. But it's all good. It's all good because I mean we talked about this offline, and I salute the Lakers for having being right there, and objectively the Warriors weren't, but I don't focus on small time stuff, and neither does that team. They focus on stuff in June. So we'll see where our Lakers are in June.
That's right. Our Lakers. That's right. Because you're going to be a fan too, ladies and gentlemen. You heard that. It was a Freudian slip in his head. He said, I like the Warriors because they play in the same state as the Lakers. And they wear yellow sometimes too. Like the Lakers like to wear yellow. And, they've started to build a championship mustard. But, there can only be one, ladies and gentlemen. There's only one Los
As I
Angeles
said,
Lakers.
I don't focus on small championships. I focus on the ones that matter in the summertime. So
Okay, yeah, that's right. Let's bring it back full circle to the James Gunn conversation because Marvel has like 20 top performing movies, and there's only maybe been 3 or 4 DC ones. So they're trying to get more like Marvel. So they hired Pat Riley or Magic Johnson or somebody to get them better. I think the Warriors at one point. I think one of the Lakers was up there. Was it Jerry was up there? I don't think Jerry was up there, but. Y'all need to hire more Lakers, similarly like DC's doing. But DC's always done this. That's the other interesting thing, that DC has always seen the talent that Marvel cultivated and paid them more money to do the same thing. Like you look at your Jim Lees, Frank Millers, all those people. And they've just told the people that have come from Marvel, just do exactly what you did, but just put it on our characters, namely like a lot of the Batman stuff. The stuff that people like about Batman is actually Daredevil stories, but that's too
I
much
will say this
shot.
though. I will say this. I am very interested to see aesthetically what a James Gunn Superman film is going to look like. Because as someone who is a fan of James Gunn and knows how zany and crazy he can get with a lot of his movies, I'm not saying that it's not possible, but I'm just saying I'm trying to see how that's going to fit in a character who's so, I don't know how to explain it further, but like so squeaky clean in terms of how that character is envisioned. So I'm very fascinated to see what a James Gunn Superman film is going to look like. Not to say that it's not going to be any good. Like,
I
you know,
think
I have full faith in James Gunn, but I'm just interested to see what that aesthetically is going to look like, knowing, you know, his pedigree of being, you know, having a zany sense of humor and having a very dark sense of humor and having, you know, all of these other films in his filmography that are horror films. They're good horror films, but again, at the end of the day, they're horror films. So definitely interested to see what happens with that. And then just a comment, you know, just briefly touching on it before we wrap up and talking about the nepotism piece, is that we've seen a lot of instances where where you know, you have that nepotism piece, or you have that piece of a person in cast in a certain role, or provide an opportunity to do something behind a camera where it has not worked. I'm not going to name any names, but there have been instances where, you know, you have folks that are married in real life,
Oh
and
yeah.
they play a couple in the movie and it does not work.
Yeah.
Like, they have no chemistry and it does not work. And it's kind of like awkward because you're like, aren't you guys married?
Yeah.
Like, so, you know, there have been instances of that where, you know, we've seen things that have not worked, even though they have a connection to each other in real life. So, to have it be just like we were saying, in a circumstance where they've already demonstrated multiple times that when they collaborate, they're able to create something really special. Um, it'll be, I'm definitely interested to see what he brings to that character of Maxwell Lord. But like I said, I think the bigger thing is just what a James Gunn Superman film is going to look like. Not to say that, you know, there's
I
no
think
proof
you're
right
worried
now
about the
that
wrong thing. I think that Superman has been in the from the 90s on. Superman has been like a pseudo Captain America, and like in the earlier years, he wasn't really like that. If you look at the first and second Superman movies, he's kind of like, you know, it's one of those things that people are supposed to be amazed when they see Superman. And like some of the stuff that they do with Superman in like the Brandon Routh movie or the ones with Henry Cavill, he does super things, but people don't seem like they because you got to think Superman is kind of Jesus. So you have to have that awe that people have. Like that's one thing that the movies in the 70s did very well, where
I don't know.
people would be like, "Oh my God, that dude just took off. That's Superman. I'm so happy that it's Superman."
I feel like the Brandon Ralph one tried to recapture that, because from what I remember when they were doing that film, it was supposed to be a quote unquote requel
Yeah.
of the already established lore of the Reeves movies, where it was supposed to be a continuation of him returning back from Krypton, which was that story arc from, you know, the original, you know, Superman film. I mean, we got what we got, but
No one was happy to see
still,
Superman in any of these movies. No one's ever
but
happy to see
still, like,
Superman in the movies. And I think Gunn will
but I'm
understand
saying,
that point.
still, I still feel like that was their intention, to establish that awe aspect, because when they have that scene and that action sequence with the airplane, if you recall, they tried to reestablish that idea of people being in awe of Superman. And even in
Yeah.
the other circumstances of him making, in that montage of him making his return after being away for so long, and him doing all these incredible feats once he did come back. Um, I feel like that was the intention there, but again, it doesn't replace what we have in of course, the Christopher Reeve
Of
Superman film.
course. Because
So
they captured the awe of Superman. And I think that that's what DC's trying to do. Because James Gunn, say what you will about James Gunn, but he can breathe life into characters that seem very two-dimensional. The Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the most two-dimensional stories ever. Like, these are space pirates that go around in space, and they are from alien planets,
walk
and
of
they don't
life.
have any connect. They have no connection to humanity, or they don't have those same kind of human struggles. But he breathed life into them. That
Or I'll say this: on paper, it would seem that way,
for
but
sure.
like you said, on paper, it would seem like when you read of these characters, you're like, okay, you have this raccoon that can talk, or you have this tree that says one word in his vocabulary, but like you said, he was able to infuse and imbue it with humanity in terms of what we to universally feel as human beings in a lot of those characters. So for sure, I absolutely agree. Well, that is going to wrap up what we have for this week's show. Again, I want to thank Spill for joining me and talking about some of these news stories with the somewhat champion Lakers. You know,
That's right.
um, it's like, nah, I'm
Tune
kidding.
in tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Championship game. That's right. LeBron and
In the tournament,
Anthony
right?
Davis in the inaugural. We gonna win the first one ever. Michael ain't do that.
But be that as it may, I'm gonna punt it over to Spillman. Spillman, can you tell folks where they can find you, sir?
Yes, you can catch me on Instagram at Truly Spill. I've got content up there that you could tell me about. You could check out all of my things. I'm sorry for the background noise. I am still a
You all
father,
good?
ladies and gentlemen.
You all good?
We are on daddy duty all the time. But
You all
yeah,
good?
I'm just happy. Give the pod 5 stars, upvote, share with your friends.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. Well, as always, I am your host, Brandon Choi, also co creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. You can find me on Twitter, or I'm saying X, just down below at Brandon Choi ENT. And then, of course, you can find me on Instagram at Brandon Choi _ENT. Additionally, be on the lookout because we may have a little countdown of some holiday films in the near future, Spillman and I, of top films to have during the holiday or to watch during the holiday. So be on the lookout for that. But also know that this month we're going to be providing a preview of next month's show that we'll be heading to, which is none other than CES in Vegas. We already have one of those interviews up for you guys to enjoy right now that you can check on the YouTube channel. But as I said, there's going to be so much more to come. So with that out of the way, thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe out there, and see you soon.
Peace,
Peace.
peace. 5 stars, 5 stars.